Welcome to a new episode of the Woollentwine Fibrestudio knitting podcast. My name is Jule and I'm the dyer and maker behind Woollentwine Fibrestudio, which is a small creative space located here in northern Germany where I play with natural dyes and natural yarns. Welcome back if you are a returning viewer, and a warm welcome to everyone who might be new here to my little corner of the internet. In today's video I want to share with you what we've prepared for our new yarn collection launching end of February, and I'm particularly excited about this one because we've prepared a lot of lovely things, I feel. And I feel like I say this every time, but for this one I just really wanted to have a broad palette, and I really challenged myself with a couple of things in order to create a really great palette that's really useful for a lot of cases. So I really hope that you're gonna love it as much as I do. And for those of you who are new here, I usually try to show the colorways that I naturally dye in movement and daylight, because it's a lot, easier to actually pick up the color for the camera this way. Photos are always a bit tricky, so that's why I try to do this in video form. And how this usually works is that I give you a quick overview of what bases we'll have available in this collection. Then I show you the colorways on each base, and at the end we usually have a little admin section on where I tell you about the specials of the collections, tell you about launch dates, and anything you might need to know too, in case you are interested in purchasing something. Without further ado, let me tell you a little bit about the bases we'll have this time. One of the restocks we'll have is our ovis sock base, which is our natural non-superwash sock yarn that has been spun to a slightly higher twist, so it can be very durable despite not having any nylon or artificial fibers in it. And we did quite a few shades on this one, mostly because this is going to be, it's probably going to take a little break in March. I'm not 100% sure about this yet, but streamlining my processes and with what I have planned with a couple of events in the next couple of months, I have been trying to streamline when to launch which base, and Ovis might be taking a break in March, then coming back in April if things go to plan. So I wanted to really have a big restock for this update for February, just so we have a lot of stock of this base available. Ovis sock will be in this collection, and then additionally we will have a restock of our cloud silk mohair, which is a lace weight silk mohair yarn that has been custom spun for us from RMS certified mohair fibers and cruelty-free silk in order to make it a cruelty-free silk mohair yarn. I have a whole video about this base that I will link down below, just in case you're curious about the making process and everything behind silk production and why I chose to go a different route with my own silk mohair yarn. That one is a typical lace weight of 420 meters per 50 grams. It's also available in 50 grams gained, so it can, be worked with a fingering weight, for example, which I actually did recently. And the fingering weight I combined this with is a new base. That brings me to announcing that we will have a new yarn base that I'm incredibly proud of. It has been in the making for quite a while, and I've been designing this for I think the past year or so, and I wanted it to be like a pretty sturdy but also really soft like jumper yarn or accessory yarn that's very versatile, and I think it turned out really nice. So we're gonna have this yarn for the first time. It's our BFL Romney blend. That is a 75% Romney and 25% naturally colored BFL, which is a rare thing to come across. So it's not a white BFL, but rather a dark brown Blueface Leicester fiber, and we blended that one into a beautiful as much as I can say, yarn. And I have a whole video about this base where I introduce it to you like in depth and tell you all the details about it. That one is linked down below and in the little eye over here. Because, you know, whenever there's a new base, I try to, you know, properly test it and show you some samples, some swatches, and tell you what it's all about. So, but for this video, I want to keep it rather short and just show you what colorways we created on this base. And it will be available in a full play version of 400 meters per 100 grams and also a DK weight that is 240 meters per 100 grams. And yeah, I guess without further ado, let me start showing you a couple of colorways. So about colorways, let me start out with what we created for the Ovis palette this time and show you what we've been working on. As a little reminder, Ovis sock is our custom spun, non-superwash and plastic-free sock yarn. It's a 50% Cheviot fiber and 50% Jacobs. Quite sturdy fibers in order for it to hold up well, spun to a slightly higher twist, and it has a meter bridge of 375 meters per 100 grams, which should be enough for a pair of socks up to EU size, I think 48. So yeah, that is kind of the deal with Ovis, and I'm so happy about this yarn because it has been released, I think in August last year we had our first release of this yarn, and you have received it very warmly ever since, and I'm just incredibly happy to be able to offer it. And I'm actually getting a respin delivered next week if things go to plan, and I'm really excited because yeah, I had to make some space in my storage for this because it's a big respin, and I'm so incredibly happy that I was able to, you know, get a respin so soon because you all love this yarn so much. So I'm just incredibly happy offering this one. And I'm really happy with this palette this time. So let me just give you a little bit of an idea of what we have. So a couple of these are just one-of-a-kind ones. And this is something I should maybe mention again in this video because I haven't said it in a while. Naturally dyed colorways generally, if you will, are kind of one-of-a-kinds every time. Because even if I kind of know how to work with these, with my mediums, like with the dyes and the yarn, it's very unpredictable. And even if I repeat the exact same dyeing process, sometimes it just turns out completely different. And this is also the beauty of this craft and working with natural dyes. But you know, sometimes it's a bit tricky. And so it's always, sometimes I get those questions where it's like, oh, when will you restock this and that colorway? And I totally get it, because sometimes you might not be in the mood for shopping yarn and you want to know if it's going to come back at some point. But to be honest, I cannot really say this and answer this because I just, in most of the cases, I don't know if I can restock it. Like sometimes with a couple of colorways, it's easy to repeat them kind of, and they seem to be quite consistent, but with some, it just isn't the case. And so I cannot really answer this question usually. But yeah, in this collection, we have a couple of fun ones that I was really excited to play with. And I guess without further ado, let me start showing them to you. First colorway that I want to show you is this one, and this is called Golden Hour, and it's like a saturated, beautiful, mustardy yellow, a proper golden colorway, I think. Next up, we will have a colorway that is also, I think I don't know if we even had it on Ovis before, but it's actually one of our kind of classics. And this one is Oxalis, and it's a deep burgundy purple red that I really, really love. It has a lot of depth to itself, and I'm really, really happy with how this turns out on Ovis. I kind of think I didn't dye it on Ovis yet, but yeah, for this update we did. So this one is Oxalis, and it's actually inspired by our little, we have a little Oxalis plant here at the studio that has been living with us for quite a while, so that's the inspiration behind this colorway. Next up, we'll have a restock of our colorway pumpkin. And this is just a warm, beautiful, rusty orange that was actually initially designed for the Shortcut to Mushroom socks by my friend Anna Sjösvad, who helped me design a beautiful pattern for one of the sock boxes from last year. And pumpkin was actually the main color that she used for the Shortcut to Mushroom socks. So yeah, a beautiful, warm, rusty shade. And I haven't dyed this like on an individual skein yet, so it's the first time we're gonna have this available. And I think it's lovely because a lot of you have been requesting yarn for these socks, and I hope to maybe also bring like the original sock sets back at some point, but not for this update. But if you want to knit them, you can get the main color already. And maybe you can actually, because I mean oxalis is quite different from auburn, it's a bit more red and not as brownish in undertone, but you could use it for the Shortcut to Mushroom socks. And I also have some of the undyed white still available in the shop, so could be an option. So yeah, that one is ginger. No, not ginger. This one is pumpkin. I'm sorry, I'm getting so confused at all those colorways. Next up, we have this colorway, and it's a new one. This is called Rosewood. And it's a beautiful, like old school kind of rosy shade. I'm not sure if the camera picks that up properly, but yeah, maybe like this. Yeah, it's like an old school mauvey rose tone that I think is just really beautiful. Sometimes it helps to put it back here. I don't know why that is, but it helps the light to be more precise on the colors. Next up, we have a new colorway as well, and this one is called Calamine, and it's a light, warm, rosy tone as well, but dyed on a white base. I don't know, I can put it back here as well. So it looks a bit more like pastel-y and not as muted as on the gray base. So that one is Calamine. Next up, we will have three very fun colorways. And these are very one of a kind, so I definitely cannot really repeat them, but I really love how they turned out, and I'm going to show them to you side by side as well. This one is Matcha, and it's a beautiful mint green, but in a warmish, like warm mint, if I can say it that way. I love it. It's a very muted mint, and it was quite of a journey to dye this because it turned out quite bright in the beginning, which wasn't really my thing, so I did a lot of over dyeing with this one in order to get it to this muted minty shade that I really love. Next up, we have another green that is called Forest, and this one is like a deep bluish kind of green that reminds me of fir trees in the forest, so that hence the name. I think it's quite good to put them back here as well, so that shows the color quite well. So this one is Forest. And last but not least, we have another green, and this one is called Green Apple. And I think it's so cool because it's like a proper, like froggy, apple-y green. And it's not often that I manage to dye these kind of shades, so just super happy to have it. And it reminds me of green apples, hence the name. But yeah, these greens are exceptionally hard to repeat, so I don't think they will make a comeback at some point. So if you're in love with these, maybe purchase them in this update. So here we have them side by side. So Green Apple, Forest, and Matcha. All right. Next up, we will have some more colorways, and this one is called Dune. It's a light beigey neutral, but more on the yellowy warm side. I don't know if it makes sense. Yeah, here you can see the hue a bit better. It's not that yellowy. So this one is called Dune. It's also a new colorway. Then we have this one, and this one is called Antique, and it's like a deep, like a golden beige that looks like, you know, something that has had some patina and has lived its life, so that's why it's called Antique. And lastly, we have another new colorway, and this one is called Afternoon Tea, and it's like a beige neutral but with some rosy warm undertones. And I think I'm absolutely in love with this one. Might be almost my favorite from the collection. But I'm also a lover of neutrals, you might know. So this is so beautiful, I think. And then lastly, oh, let me maybe put the neutrals next to each other as well, and also maybe in like with some of the pinks. So yeah, here we have them all side by side. So we have Dune, Antique, and Afternoon Tea side by side. So yeah, last but not least, let me put 3 more colorways, and I know that you're always in love with the multicolor colorways, and yeah, I I heard you, and I created 3 more multicolors that were inspired by like the early spring blooms that are, you know, already peeking out here and there, even though it's still pretty cold here. And this one is called Snowdrop, and it's almost like a unicorn colorway with a lot of blues and purples and pinks, and I love this one. So this one is Snowdrop. Next up we have Daffodil, and this one is like a light pinky beige with golden tones that I think is so pretty. And then last but not least, we have Hellebore, and this is a bit more saturated and has a lot of, you know, red, pink and some yellow golden tones, and I think this is also really pretty. So here are them all next to each other. Our winter bloom, early bloom inspired multicolors. And I think they're just really sweet and fresh, and also nice for maybe the beginning of spring that is right around the corner. So I guess that is it for the colorways on Ovis Sock. Of course, we also have a couple of them left in the shop currently, so you can also check out what we have left at the moment. If there is something you are, you know, there is not the right shade for you here, there might be something in this shop as well. And yeah, I guess without further ado, let me jump into the next section. So as mentioned in the beginning of this video, I will also have a new base that is called BFL Romney 4-ply or DK, and this one is a new one. And please watch the dedicated video that I recorded for this one that I'm linking down below. Because it contains a lot of, you know, in-depth information that I tried to not repeat in this video too much. But yeah, we have quite a big variety. Oops, I just dropped the swatches. We have quite a big variety of colorways on this one, just so you can have a lot to choose from. And I guess without further ado, let me start showing them to you, starting out with just the natural undyed shade. This is how it looks like. It is a light grayish beige, slightly warmer in undertone than our BFM Massam, if you remember that one. It's a bit more warm and brownish in undertone because the 25% of the brown BFL that has been blended into this is yeah, it's a brown and a pretty warm undertone, so that's why it resulted in a slightly warmer yarn. And And this is just the undyed shade. We will have all of the shades that I'm going to show you on the four-ply and the DK weight version, and I'm going to show most of them, I think, on the four-ply, one or two on the DK. I'm just going to tell you which base it is, but basically we will have all of these shades on both of the bases, so you can choose. And I also made the effort to dye matching mohair shades, which was quite a bit of a challenge, but I'm telling you that a bit later on. And I hope to also show you a couple of potential combinations with the cloud silk mohair. But this is the undyed. And next up in the neutral kind of range, we have this shade, and this one is called Linen, and it's like a beige with a slightly pinkish undertone. And this is the shade that I used for my Vechna shawl by Jenny of Kotikotoni. I made a test knit for her. Let me show it to you. To see how this base behaves. And this is, I'm going to show it more in depth in the dedicated video, so check that out if you want to see it like in depth and hear me talk about everything. But this is Linen, and this is just the shade that I used together with a strand of cloud silk mohair. So this is the shade Linen, and I'm in love with this one. It's just so versatile with a wash of color, but still a neutral. Totally right up my alley. Next up we have this shade, and it's called Calamine, and it's a slightly more saturated warm pink compared to Linen, and I think it's also a very, very wearable shade. Let me compare them to you this way. Oh yeah, here you can see it really well, how much pinker the Calamine is. So yeah, that's that. And let me also add the undyed neutral next to it. I know that you always find it very helpful when I put the color families up together, so I hope you can see them well together in this one. So this one is the undyed, in the middle we have Linen, and then we have Calamine on this side. So yeah, so far about those neutrals. Well, we have some more browns. I never know if they are considered neutrals, but let me first continue with this shade. This is a beautiful warm purple called Amethyst. It's a new colorway as well, and if you would compare this to my lavender colorway, it's slightly more saturated and slightly more warm in undertone. I have a feeling these type of lavendery shades are currently really popular. Like, I see them everywhere on Instagram currently, so I tried to give it a go as well. So this one is Amethyst. And next up in the kind of reddish family, we're going down in depth quite a bit. We also dyed Oxalis on BFL Romney, and this is just a beautiful saturated berry red. Yeah, with a slightly cool undertone. Love this one. So yeah, here we have Oxalis, and then we have another new colorway that I also really enjoy, and this is Vermilion, and it's a bright but still very wearable red that I think is just so pretty. Let me put it back here, so it's, yeah, this depicts the color better, I think. So yeah, this is Vermilion, and let me show it to you next to Oxalis so you have an idea of how it looks together. Yeah, those are the two. Oh, and let me put Amethyst next to it because it's kind of the same color family maybe. So here we have Amethyst, Oxalis and Vermilion all together. Quite a pretty combo actually. Next up, let me go into the more neutral region again, and we have this one, and this is called Cinnamon, and it's like a reddish saturated brown with slightly rusty undertones. maybe it's helpful to put them into the both of the different lightings. So this is cinnamon. Next up we have hickory, and this one is more of a less reddish brown, more of a neutral grayish undertoned brown. Let me see if I can focus it on here. So this one is hickory, and this one is cinnamon, just so you can get an idea of how they look next to each other. And then we have two more shades, I think, yeah, two more shades, and one of them is Golden Hour, a beautiful saturated mustardy green golden yellow. And we also dyed Antique on this new base, which is kind of like the slightly less saturated little sibling to Golden Hour, if you will. I don't know if the camera picks it up properly, but I hope it does. And this actually brings me to the part where I'm gonna show you another sample in this yarn. As said, it's gonna be shown in depth in the next, like in the dedicated video, but we made another sample in this yarn, and this is, let me check which way around it works. I think this way. This is the citrine jumper by my friend Ines of Vadnit, and this is also worked in the Antique colorway. So this is how it knits up. I thought it's helpful to maybe show it to you. But yeah, as said, I'll show this in depth in the dedicated preview video, but the pattern is coming out with the launch of this new yarn next week. So it's coming out on the 23rd of February as well, together with my shop update, and I'm so happy that Ines was inspired by my yarns to create such a beautiful pattern. It's just stunning, and I love the little details and all the, you know, the overall fabric and how it looks. So yeah, this is the citrine jumper that is going to release with this new yarn, but I'm going to share a little bit more about specials and the release and in general pattern releases and all that at the end of the video in the admin section. For now, let me also share with you the shades that we dyed on Cloud Silk Mohair, because I think it's going to be very beautiful to knit this new yarn with Cloud Silk Mohair, especially in the 4-ply base, but also in the DK weight base. But I actually knitted myself this Vechna shawl that I showed to you a bit earlier, and it was an absolute dream. So the combination of the new BFL Romney 4-ply and silk mohair makes such a beautifully drapey fabric that is incredibly soft in my eyes, and just so lovely. So I tried to create as many matching shades as I could, and it was actually quite a challenge because you know, this base, as I showed to you, is a light beigey gray, and Cloud is a white base, and creating the same colorways on a white yarn as on a beige yarn, I'm telling you, is a challenge. But I think I did okay, and I did my best to kind of have matches for most of the shades on the new BFL Romney base. But without further ado, let me show them to you. First up, Cloud Silk Mohair is our cruelty-free silk mohair yarn with a lace weight, so pretty classic silk mohair, and it is 420 meters per 50 grams, so one skein of Cloud and one skein of a fingering weight yarn usually go quite well together amount-wise. And colorways, I will start with the lightest ones and work my way to the more saturated ones. So these are the lightest ones. This one is Silver Lining, and it's like a beautiful light silvery gray. I don't know if it picks up on camera. I should maybe have brought an undyed skein to compare it, but this is Silver Lining. And this one is Birch, and it's a light grayish beige. And these two were created to match the undyed shade of BFL Romney, and depending on whether you prefer a more cool undertone or a more warm undertone, I decided to create two shades that would match the undyed quite well, so you could choose what you prefer. So yeah, those are Silver Lining and Birch. To match the undyed shade, let me see if I can drop them here. Next up, we also dyed this shade, and this is called Linen. This is dyed to match our linen shade, and this is actually the color combo. Like, these two yarns were used in my Vechner shawl, so this is the exact same, and you will be able to get the exact same shades if you're into them. And yeah, so this is Linen, and this also matches the Calamine shade quite well, I feel, so I didn't dye another one for this one, but I think it matches both of the shades quite well. So this one is the Calamine and this one is Linen, together with the Linen on Cloud Silk Mohair. Next up, let me see what we have here. We have another double match. So this one is Cinnamon on Cloud Silk Mohair, and I think it goes quite well with the cinnamon, of course, but also with the Hickory shade. So I think this is kind of a double match as well. It looks a bit more red on camera. I'm not really sure why that is. It's a bit more neutral in real life, I would say. But yeah, should go with both of these shades in my eyes. So I hope this is visible. So yeah, this is Cinnamon on Cloud Silk Mohair. Next up, we have a match of Oxalis. So this is Oxalis on Cloud Silk Mohair, designed to go with Oxalis on BFL Romney. I mean, you can totally knit it with something else, don't get me wrong, but this was the initial plan to, you know, have matching mohair shades, which I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. It was a bit of a labor of love, I will say so. But next up we have the Vermilion shade that also has a matching mohair partner. So this is Vermilion on the Cloud Silk Mohair to go with Vermilion on BFL Romney. And one more in this kind of reddish purple category, we also dyed Amethyst to go with Amethyst on BFL Romney. I think it's quite pretty on the silk mohair as well. It's really glowy. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just really pretty. Slightly lighter in shade, but I think it's still gonna make a really beautiful match. So yeah, this is Amethyst. And then last but not least, I also dyed Golden Hour on Cloud Silk Mohair, which appears a little brighter. Maybe this is more it on camera. It's always a bit tricky to show. But this is Golden Hour, and it was designed to go with Golden Hour on BFL Romney. And I think it would also make a pretty match with Antique as well. Wow, this is really bad. Okay, this way. So this is Antique and this is Golden Hour with the Golden Hour on Cloud Silk Mohair. But yeah, I guess those were all the shades. I hope it was helpful that I showed them side by side so you can have an idea of how they actually look like. But I guess that brings me to kind of the end of this part. So these were all the shades on Cloud Silk Mohair, so let me continue with a couple of admin things and, you know, announcements around this launch. Okay, to kick off the admin section, I think I should maybe mention when all of these shades will launch. So the next drop is going to be on the 23rd of February at 8 p.m. CET. And yeah, all these shades that I just showed to you will be available in my shop at that point. And that is not all. Like, I prepared a couple of like, not me, I teamed up with friends of mine, and we have a couple of specials as well. So first of all, as I already mentioned, the citrine jumper, the design by my friend Ines of Verdnit, will be released with the 23rd as well. And I can tell you to maybe sign up for my newsletter, because that's where I also send out a reminder of when the shop update goes live. But there might also be a little extra discount for newsletter subscribers. So I can definitely recommend signing up for some exclusive offers that we prepared. And yeah, this beautiful pattern will be releasing with the shop update. And as far as I know, Ines is going to put up a couple of like the Ravelry page and info about yardage and all that. For my size, we used about 500 grams, but this is also a cropped size. So yeah, definitely check out the info that Ines will put up. And have a look out for her posts, because she's definitely going to announce when the info is going to be live. And I think it's going to be very helpful to prepare for the shop update. And with the palette that we designed, I think there are a lot of shades that would be suitable for this beautiful pattern. I would generally recommend using a slightly, like, not the very deep, dark, saturated colorways, just because it might swallow up the textured pattern quite a bit. But yeah, all in all, I would say a lot of shades from this palette would work with this. And yeah, stay tuned for the citrine jumper release. And maybe consider signing up for my newsletter, because you're gonna get some exclusive discount. But yeah, I'll show this one in depth and talk you through everything in the intro video for this yarn base, because yeah, I'm not going to repeat myself too much in here, but it's going to launch next Friday with the shop update. Speaking of Ines and this whole citrine vibe, I really felt connected to this whole vibe of the citrine jumper, and actually another pattern that she designed, that is the citrine socks. I unfortunately don't have any pictures, because I was too slow to also knit another sample of this, but it has been designed in ovis sock, and I'm going to try and put maybe some pictures here if Ines lets me share some of her sample, because it's a beautiful pattern with the same elements that the citrine jumper has around the hem and the cuffs and the neckline. And it's a really cute sock pattern that I think is, just lovely. And those a lot of shades of the new collection will be suitable for those socks as well. But we also decided to keep it extra special, let's put it that way, and have a little kit, if you will. So upon launch of the citrine socks, we will also have a little kit where you can choose whatever color you want to knit the citrine socks in, and then you can choose an add-on option in my shop to make it a kit, and then there will be the pattern included and a pair of stitch markers that I made from actual citrine stones. So this is just gonna be exclusive for this launch, and I think it's so pretty. I just love the whole vibe of this pattern, and the pattern family, if I put it that way. And it was just, the creativity was just flowing between Ines and me, and so we decided to make these as an offer as well. And yeah, you can also get the pattern. And how this is going to work, you can just pick your whatever choice of ovis you want to use for the pattern, and just pick the kit add-on option. That will be a separate listing in the shop, and then you will get the stitch markers and the pattern as well. Those are extremely limited, so I'm sorry, but I cannot make a lot of them. So yeah, if you want to grab one, it might be useful to check in time. But yeah, and then you will get also the pattern. And if you purchase this and want to have the pattern in Ravelry as well, you can just email me with your Ravelry data and your order numbers, and I will, or either me or Ines will take care of the pattern copy coming to your Ravelry as well, just so you can have it in your library and, you know, be notified whenever there's updates on the pattern or something. So yeah, in this case, please email me. Other than that, you will just receive the PDF pattern from my shop system. So whatever works for you. We just wanted to make it possible for you to receive updates as well. So just email me your Ravelry info, and then I will make sure that everything's gonna turn out well. Yeah, so far about the citrine kits. By the way, just so it's not confusing, the kit does not work for the sweater version. It's just for the socks, and also the stitch markers, they only work for the socks, because for the citrine jumper you will need quite a few more stitch markers than just 3. So yeah, just keep in mind that this is not working for the citrine jumper, only for the citrine socks. But yeah, and then we will have another announcement, and or before someone asks, the Vechner shawl that I just knitted as a test knit for my friend Jenny of Koti Kotoni will also launch later this month. I'm not 100% sure about the launch date yet, but I thought to include the info already, and I hope to also have more info in my newsletter for you. So definitely consider to sign up for that. And I'll let you know everything that might be relevant. And also I should mention that with the Vechner shawl, I used 2 skeins of BFL Romney 4-ply and 2 skeins of Cloud Silk mohair, and I used them up pretty much completely. So I think, yeah, you should be good to go with getting 2 skeins of each base if you want to knit this shawl. That's what I can tell already beforehand. And yeah, depending on when exactly the pattern launches, I will let you know as soon as I can. And it's as soon as the release is announced. But I hope it's going to be very soon and quite close to the update. But just so you know what you might need if you want to knit this pattern, you can get the yarn in the update already. But yeah, I guess that is it so far. I'm so excited for this collection, and I'm so curious what you will say about the new yarn base. I personally really love it, and yeah, can't wait to release it into the world. As always, if there are any questions occurring, please email me at hello@woollentwine.com, as it can be a bit tricky for me to moderate my Instagram messages before shop updates. So any questions would be very welcomed via email. And yeah, I'm just really excited for this collection to launch. Until then, I hope you're having a wonderful February, maybe less drizzly and less gloomy than it's here. And yeah, see you in the next video. Bye.